There'll be no more pain, no more parting over there, and forever will be with the one who died for me. What a day, glorious day.
Let me take this opportunity to welcome you in Funeral Aug. I think Alfi came from Australia, over the ways, and I'm grateful for their message. And also the little that he's making the film again today, and today and this question. We know that everything that we do here is good, and all that service is the best. So it's really welcome, and as we support the family, may we also be reminded of the fact that we are so generous on this planet. So our scripture reading, we will just follow the program as it is. We won't make announcements. When you see you feature on the program, you come out to this, come up in front, and do your part. And then we will follow in that order as it is on the program. All right. The scripture reading is taken from the book of
the day was paid.
It was perfect, Lord. It is not perfect. If we there's each and everyone that has made the time to come up to support the family. If they think with it, they made the time to come. Thank you for seeing this. There is no one close to us. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much. You may be seated. And we go into our program. We will call and Alfi to the start of the statement.
We are live streaming as well. Our mother Pearl, Theresa Hall, was supposed to be enjoying her last hurrah in Sydney with 3 of her children right now. She had just passed 5 months of rigorous testing for a visa to Australia. Getting a visa for a 90-year-old is an extremely difficult process. We had tried to get a visa by applying from South Africa, but it didn't work. Right from the get-go, here in Cape Town, we encountered a roadblock for the very first requirement. They needed travel insurance. I already knew it was impossible to get travel insurance for anyone over 89. So after that episode, we had tried by other means of securing a visa. So we found that in fact we could apply directly from Australia via the Australian Home Affairs. They did not require a travel insurance or a health check. So there was lots of testing. There were biopsies, blood checks, mental health checks, heart, x-ray, CAT scans, and like I said, 5 months of this. She passed all of this with flying colours. She was approved on March the 18th, 2024 to come to Australia on a student visa. She could stay for 6 months and have multiple entries. Ironically, one of the conditions was that she wasn't allowed to study for 3 months. I told her this and she laughed. My mother said to me that we should bring her over as soon as possible because she was 90. But I was thinking no, because she really loved Christmas. All our birthdays were around that time, so I opted for her to wait for 5 months, and then those next 6 months mattered the most because she wouldn't miss out on all these events. Also, my reasoning was that she had been through the mills with this health check, so I thought she was going to last another 90 years. Well, if only I listened to Leanne. No one can predict the future. She had a stroke on the plane. Now, if she had a stroke on a plane, that would have been much worse. This was going to be her 7th visit to Australia, and maybe I would have been giving this eulogy from Sydney instead. There was always risk involved, but life is what it is. One thing for certain is that we are going to meet our Maker sooner or later, and this was her time. We have no say in it. Pearl comes from a family of 6 siblings, all long gone a fair while ago. Their names are from the eldest to the youngest. The always joking Cyril Dunn, Trevor Dunn, Pearl Hall, Shirley Dennis, Gladys Brady, and the gregarious Victor Dunn. She was married to our father, Desmond Hall, at the age of 22 in March 1956. I must say, it wasn't the easiest bringing up a family in apartheid South Africa in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And Pearl, in our immediate family, was the most indoctrinated by that system, although she did calm down a little towards the end. Mum is a direct descendant of the Dunn line of ancestry. A colourful character called John Dunn, who was a white immigrant from Scotland, that was a shrewd negotiator for the Zulus in Zululand. I heard he spoke Zulu fluently, so in his return for his negotiations, he was given 49 Zulu wives. He also had his official coloured wife called Catherine Purse. But imagine that, 49 wives, and the word is that he didn't mind servicing these 49 wives. He left behind a nation of Dunns. Our great-great-grandmother was a Zulu chieftain's daughter, and not one of the minions. But our mother, in good old South African fashion, she never gave her mother, her great-great-grandmother, a mention because she was black. It was all about the white John Dunn that she came from, and not the Zulu royalty. It was like John Dunn produced us from thin air. Pearl had a difficult life under our father, and even though he had died 29 years ago, she never missed an opportunity to tell us how badly he treated her. He did, however, have a lot more compassion and was very good with us as babies and toddlers. Our mother, bless her soul, lacked in that department, but she did do all the heavy lifting. We loved him and miss him when he died. Pearl was not noted for her compassion and having a soft heart. Yes, she was a hard woman. She didn't shed a tear at funerals, but I did make her cry on a couple of occasions. In the 60s, when they changed over from glass to plastic bottles, there was a brand new bottle of cooking oil, and Leon, my younger brother, said, "Look, it's not glass anymore, it's plastic." So I think I must have been 13 at the time. I held it up and then dropped it on the cement floor. I thought it was just going to bounce up like a rubber ball, but oh no, it smashed and oil went all over the place. And boy oh boy did my mother cry. We didn't have much money then. In fact, I don't think we ever had much money. She appreciated it when I got a guitar at the age of 15. Of all the songs I played back then, it was The House of the Rising Sun by the Animals that she absolutely loved. She would pay me 50 cents to play it back then. She always called it the House of New Orleans. When she came to Sydney, she would be the first on the dance floor, dancing at our gigs, mainly at the Royal Hotel in Bondi. She also came to us, when she came to Australia, she didn't get a buzz out of seeing beautiful scenery or incredible sights. I would say, "Ma, look, there's the Opera House," while she was staring straight ahead. On one of her many visits to New Zealand and Australia during a health checked, she found that she was found to have cancer, so she couldn't come until it was cleared, whereby she had the treatment and it did clear. This would have not been picked up if it wasn't for those many trips abroad. She dodged yet another bullet. She did not drink alcohol or smoke and was forced to exercise in walking long distances with heavy groceries. Our dad was mostly reluctant to drive her anywhere. In short, I think this forced exercise enabled her to reach 90, where in her immediate family this had not been achieved. There are two things I am glad I did with my mom recently. It was to come over in 2020, just before COVID, and in 2023. In 2020, I came to pick Mom up from Cape Town, then take her on a 2-day road trip to Durban via Bloemfontein. I really didn't know how this was going to go, but Pearl came into her own on these long trips. What happened is that Mom would open up and tell me things that she would never say ordinarily, things that you would never tell your children. The gory details, the stuff she did before she got married, while she was married, sexual information, some of the things our father got up to, how badly she was treated by her own father. Most of the stuff I didn't know about. I knew nothing about. Things that I'm not about to repeat here and now. But it did help me understand why she was the person that she was. So when we got to Durban, we would try and see as many of our relatives as we could in a 3-week period. We saw the Willards, the Duns, the Halls, the Dennises, the Slabberts, and lots of friends. She really loved the socializing, and I also think they liked seeing her as well. Then after 3 weeks in Durban, we would go on another 3-day road trip via the garden route through Transkei and Plettenberg Bay and back to Cape Town. And again, she would open up while we were driving. Now, on these trips, Pearl never looked at the scenery that South Africa had to offer, but she enjoyed the trips because she liked that she could talk and she had a captive audience. Pearl had a strange sense of humor. She did laugh. Much funnier jokes didn't even rate a smile. The joke was, there was this man that was chased by a skeleton, and the man was running for his life. No matter how fast he ran, the skeleton was still after him. Up and down trees, through buildings, the skeleton never gave up the chase until the man came to this big, deep hole, and he brazenly jumped over it. And the skeleton stopped, and he wouldn't jump over the big deep hole. And we would ask, why didn't the skeleton jump over the big deep hole, Mum? And she already started laughing, her belly shaking. Why? Because he had no guts. I did get a little bit of a smile out of that one. Pearl was a good cook, but she said she always hated cooking. She said it was because she was forced to cook. She did, however, like to eat other people's cooking. So she was angry that our father who could cook but would never cook. She did prefer a gossip instead of watching TV or reading a book. So our mum died as a result of a severe stroke which affected her midbrain. This paralyzed her on both sides. She couldn't swallow. She could only move her eyes and her mouth. Her eyes were focused, but couldn't really recognize us. But she was alert to any sound. So recently when I arrived in Cape Town, it was 1 a.m. in the morning, and visiting hours were from 3 to 4 and 7 to 8 only. I wasn't sure if they would allow me to visit my mother. Desiree said I should go and see her first because she wasn't sure that she was going to make it through the night. So initially they wouldn't let me in, but they did when I told them that I came straight from the airport after 24 hours from Sydney. I cried when I first saw her like that. She was struggling with every breath. The doctor said she would be lucky to see out that weekend. That went on for another 2 weeks, all the time struggling with every breath. It was very confronting and distressing seeing her in this state. Why was she hanging on? Was it because she wanted to go on these so badly to go on these holidays and she was robbed of that chance? On the last day, I had a feeling that this was it. Her heart rate was at 142 beats per minute and her eyes were closed. Way too much for a sick 90-year-old. Desiree also came in after me to see her for the last time as well. I would say that if we were given a choice of how our life was going to end, most of us would tick the box where it said, "Die in my sleep." We are sad her time has come to an end. She was the rock in our family. No matter how hard things got, she was always there for us. We love you, Mum. So, Desiree, stop.
You know, heard him groan. In April 2018, on the 18th of April, my mum came to live with us. And, you know, putting two headstrong and stubborn people under the same roof cannot always be the easy thing, because I could be like my mother in that respect. And I'd like to at this time also take a moment to say that my husband really was an excellent son-in-law. You know, he welcomed her with open arms. He treated her as though she was his own, as he would treat his own mom. And you know, she could be pretty challenging at times. And I actually learned a lot through watching him interact. And he often scolded me sometimes, you know, because I can fly off the handle easily at times. And the patience that he showed, you know, was actually remarkable. You know, I really do, you know, admire how he handled things. And you know, because now you face a role reversal at such a time. The parent now becomes the child, and the child takes on the role of a parent. So it wasn't easy times, but God was with us. Mum loved to walk only if it meant going shopping for groceries, clothes, or to dine out. So I had to park the car far away to encourage her to walk more. And in her young years, Mum loved chatting to people, socializing and so on. But this changed as she grew older. There was, our mum also had quite a sense of humor, because one day I was coming into the house with a bottle of cancer herbs that I got from Connie. And she had a very good, you know, she had very good vision. So I had this bottle in my hand, and suddenly I thought, you know what, let me, all right, so Mum I had this bottle in my hand and I thought, let me, you know, I sometimes get into practical jokes. So I said to Mom, as I came into the kitchen, I said, well, here's some cool drink, you know, and I poured it out. And she said, yes, yes, she was like kind of eager. And then as she drank it, you know, she pulled her face and said, it's bitter, you know, and I was really laughing. I was trying to video record it at the same time. But she actually laughed as well, you know, when she saw that, you know, that, and then I said to her, no, it's for cancer. What surprised me really was the fact that she actually finished the drink. Maybe she thought, but since it's something good, you know, she actually finished the drink. Because I knew Mom loved sweet, anything that was sweet. So when I discovered, you know, that as I went into the room and saw Mom in that condition after she had the stroke, I was really alarmed. It was, and you know, it was really, really heartbreaking because it was just a few days before she was supposed to be on the plane. And I knew that she had to go to the hospital immediately, and I sent my siblings a message to say that she was off. Mom has had a heart attack. So I'm thankful to God for His protection over Mom through all these years, and I'm grateful for His provision. And while she was in hospital, I did remind her, you know, I kept telling her that God is with you now, even when we leave. And there seemed to be a flicker of recognition now and then. And I also showed the videos of that were sent by Leon, Bernice, and Maya, and of course Karen and Miro and children. I showed those videos as many times as I could. And at times, you know, it seemed like she really was watching them. So I look forward to the day when Jesus will come and usher in His kingdom, and death will be no more, sickness and suffering will be no more. I'm looking forward to that, no more time, and when we will reunite with our loved ones and home. Thank you.
Today we are here to celebrate the life of my granny, Paul, and I'd just like to briefly speak about her. Granny was indeed a force of nature, a go-getter, and if I had to describe her in 5 words, I would use these words: industrious, self-sufficient, hard-working, no-nonsense, and conscientious. What I remember the most about my grandmother was that she was a very hard worker. You know, even as a young child, when I would visit her with my mom, visit her in Durban, I would always remember her waking up very early in the morning to cook for the day, to prepare everything for the day. And when I woke up, everything was set, lunch was cooked. And there would also been times where she would also spend hours. I know Uncle Alfi mentioned that she didn't like cooking, but she spent quite a few hours making pickled fish chutney, or I think it's pickled chutney, so that she could sell. Right? So she's very industrious. She'd find ways to support herself and turn those skills into something more than just a hobby. Granny was also a woman that was on the go. Even as she got older, she didn't let anything stop her. Even long distances, I remember she would take the bus to town, but in that commute she would walk these long distances, and I remember also walking with her. My mother and myself would accompany her to town, and as a child I'd be very tired, you know, and I'd look at my grandmother and it wouldn't faze her. Right? She was used to to walk in such long distances. So no matter how tough the walk, she always made it happen. And when my grandmother was not on the move, she was also reading a lot. My grandmother loved reading. She would go to bookstores and exchange old books for new ones. And this was a way for her to also stay engaged and to keep her mind busy. That is one of the things that I admired about her. And lastly, but not least, what I remember about her is her perseverance and her resilience. I think there was one point in her life, in the past, where she underwent a gallbladder operation, and that really left her almost debilitated for a little while, and she needed assistance from my cousin. Fortunately, my cousin Beverly was there to help her, but she was able to.
Our mom Pearl was the daughter of Warren Theophilus Sonny Dunn and Margaret Marie Francois Dunn. Born in 1934, Mom had lived through the years of the Great Depression. As a young lady, Mom had worked in a clothing factory until meeting our dad Desmond and getting married in 1956. Mom and Dad were the parents of 4 siblings: Alfred, myself, Desiree, and Bernice. Our family home was in Seaview, where all of us grew up. Mom had been an excellent homemaker and provider. I remember Mom always being calm and pleasant-natured. Mom was extremely proud of her children and grandchildren. She always remembered everyone's birthdays, including the grandchildren. Mom always kept in contact, even when we are far away. Mom will be dearly missed by all who loved her. You may not be here anymore, but forever in our hearts. I love you, Mom.
Good morning, good evening, from wherever you're watching. Thank you for attending my mum's funeral service. If I'm looking off to the side, please bear with me. I'm just reading from what I've written. It is an honor to share precious memories of my mother. She will always be missed by all, but her memory will live on in us forever. When I think of my mum, the words that come to mind are strength. She outlived all of her siblings. Resilience. Nothing could keep her down for long. Keeping close contact with her children and grandchildren, and later on her great-grandchildren. Her sense of humor saw us enjoying lots of laughter. Life wasn't always easy, but her strength to overcome all of the setbacks always prevailed. I've always loved you, Mum. So have my children and grandchildren. Till we meet again, you will always be in my heart forever. Bernice. Thank you.
Family and friends. Alfi left South Africa in 1980, some 44 years ago, to reside and set up family in Australia. Sorry for the piece of paper. Stuck together. Alfi had made frequent Sorry guys. Right, Alfi had made frequent visits to South Africa to visit his mom, dad, family and friends. And he always made sure that he made contact with me during his visits. Unfortunately, with this visit, he came with sad news. And a few days later, after passing. Auntie Pearl and Uncle Desmond and their family were very close friends with my family. We spent our entire childhood growing up together. I'll just quote something. The greatest of a family is not how much wealth they acquire, but in their integrity and the ability to affect those around them positively, and this was an excellent example of both Alfi's parents and my parents, which were very good friends. Auntie Pearl, may your dear soul rest in eternal peace, and may you fly with the angels, and you will never be forgotten. Pearl, I know you are here with us in spirit today, and I please ask you to say hi to my mom and dad. Alfi, we wish you a safe journey back home to Australia, and once again, thank you for your generous friendship. Thank you.
All right, let's see if you open that way. So would like to come, maybe it's right now. I'm going to do the minutes. You want to spend this learning around for that. Okay? You will do so right. Thank you. You want to make and do? All the details against the distance. And I maybe invite the family members to stand around the closure. And we do in the middle. And we ask them to put some petals on the bottom. When I transfer to do that, by way of saying goodbye and permitting remains of our loved one in years. For as much as God in his infinite love and wisdom has permitted our dear sister to fall asleep, we tenderly commit her body to the ground. We'd like to do that right now. As it says normally, we don't want to remember it this way. Think of a loved one who's been with us as we commit to the earth. The sure and certain hope of a glorious return and resurrection, that this body of our humiliation shall be changed and made like unto his glorious body, according to the mighty work whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. Friends, one last word. This enemy, this epidemic, is not going to be needed anymore in future glory when we with Jesus. In the meantime, let us remain faithful and steadfast, believing, trusting looking forward to with longing, when we shall be reunited at the coming of our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. I don't know if the past is here, but we're supposed to move on, Alfi. If you could maybe do what's recorded the program, and then we will do the closing. Thank you very much for here.
Master Boesack, Rosalind, with our funerals, Alledon, doing the live streaming and tech, Alfi, Leon, Desiree, Theresa, and all the way to Germany, Freddy, Harry, and everyone in attendance.
So I don't think it's going to be all that clear. It's quite a distance.
Thank you very much. Okay, very good musician. Brings back memories. When I grew up, this used to come over the radio. But maybe an access to the lyrics, Alfi, I'll appreciate it. If you could share the lyrics with me, so I can maybe just refresh my memory. I was never good at, memorizing the song.